So Lakers have been really disappointing all season. It wasn't that long ago that the Lakers won the in-season tournament, were 5 games over 500, and then went like 3-10 and just completely went the opposite direction in which we thought they would. It was like, all right, here we go. We got the in-season tournament. Let's go make that push for the Larry O'Brien. We're going to be competing for, top 3 seed at worst. Lakers are in great shape. And the opposite happened. And it's crazy because you've had LeBron James and Anthony Davis basically healthy the entire season. They're both having like incredibly efficient seasons, and the Lakers just cannot beat anybody, right? The Lakers, there are times where they look absolutely brilliant, right? And there are times that like you look at them and you're like, okay, this team can win a championship. This team can beat anybody. And then you watch other games and it's like they just can't seem to beat anybody. And they look like a team that just has no shot of being a real championship contender. And look, you are what your record is, but I do believe this team is better than the record. Like, I don't believe this team is your typical 9th seed play-in team. Here's the problem. If they finish in the play-in, they're very likely going to miss the postseason, right? Just based on the way that the Lakers have operated this season. Now, could they win 2 straight games and be in the playoffs? Absolutely. But I don't know if I trust them to do that. Once you get to the playoffs, I trust the Lakers because it's not like one game. It's 7, best of 7, right? So you can kind of have that like, oh, Lakers didn't show up game and still win the series, right? Which is not good and it could cause trouble for the Lakers, but I do trust them more in the playoffs, but you got to get there. Right. And it's the little things that drive me crazy, right? Like Sacramento game was such a big, important game. And the Lakers it wasn't even competitive. Your 3 best players were no-shows. Your 2 leaders in LeBron James and Anthony Davis both got dominated. One got dominated by Sabonis and now is 0-10. And the other one got dominated by Harrison Barnes, right? And it wasn't even competitive. Like, it wasn't even fun to watch. It was embarrassing. And they just got completely bullied and manhandled. And the thing is, you had 2 guys in Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura that were excellent. And Rui Hachimura took 1 field goal attempt in the second half. 1. He had 17 points in the first half, was basically couldn't miss, and he gave him 1 attempt. Now, that is on everybody, right? That is on LeBron, Austin Reeves, D'Angelo Russell, Spencer Dinwiddie, even Anthony Davis to an extent. All the guys who have the ball in their hands a large majority of the time to recognize that, hey, Rui is torching this team. Let's get him the basketball and see if him and Austin Reeves can lead us to the promised land. But it's also on the head coach. And this is my problem with Darvin Ham. He is terrible at situational awareness, rotation structure, just calling timeouts, basically everything you need to be a coach. I have talked repeatedly about Darvin Ham just underutilizing players, right? But this is incredibly frustrating. And then it's like, it doesn't help that Darvin Ham says things like, I wish I could tell Mike Brown, when you play offense, just let us know what you're going to run so we can stop it. And look, I understand that this is just Darvin Ham just kind of throwing fuel on the fire. He's not, I don't think he really means that. Like, you'll see him in some of these press conferences kind of just say silly stuff, and he's kind of just trying to brush it off and brush off the media's questions. But the problem is, it's like, dude, you're a big part of the problem. Darvin Ham isn't the only problem, right? Like, Darvin Ham, like, the players still have to show up. The players still have to do their job, right? Like, what is Darvin Ham supposed to do? Just bench LeBron James and Anthony Davis the whole game? Like, like, guys still need to do their part. But Darvin Ham has been a real problem. And it's just, it's so glaring and such a frustration. And look, the season's almost over, so the Lakers aren't going to fire Darvin Ham. But no matter what happens, the Lakers need to fire him, right? Like, the Lakers could win the championship this year, and I still believe he needs to be fired, right? Like, he's had his moments, don't get me wrong. Like, there are moments where he looks like a competent coach. And that's what's frustrating, is it's like, dude, like, just do what you did in this game every game. right? Like, and we'd actually be in good shape, right? Like even in the playoffs, right? Last season, you saw Darvin Ham in the first 2 rounds. He was actually very good, like very good, and it was like okay, he had a rough start in the beginning. He didn't really have a real team. You get some real pieces. You're off to the races. You win in the first round. You win in the second round. Okay, he lost to Denver. Yeah, he struggled. He had some, lapses, but nobody, like, he was kind of grasping at straws. Like, no one really showed up outside of, like, Austin Reeves, right? It's like, okay, you give him a pass, right? But it's like he's gotten worse. It's really odd. And then he has some games where, he'll make the proper timeout, or he'll make the proper rotation, or he'll stick with the guy, or he'll do the right thing. And it's like, dude, like, why you're more inconsistent than the team is. And it's crazy to me because there's some stuff that is just so blatantly obvious that it's infuriating. Now, there are some good qualities of Darvin Ham, right? Like I like the way he operates with the players at times, right? Like I know a lot of people will make fun of Darvin Ham and clown Darvin Ham because like LeBron will be drawing up a play, or there was footage of D'Lo basically drawing up his game winner, and Darvin Ham was sitting there listening and like, okay, like I know a lot of people kind of clown him for that, but that is, in my opinion, a good quality of a coach because, again, he's a coach, yes, but he's not the guy that's out there playing the game. He's seeing things, but he might not be seeing everything clearly because, again, he's not the one that's actually playing. He's not the one that is getting, certain level of contact or seeing things open up, or, hey, there's something in this corner that just keeps developing, or every time, D'Lo does this or whatever. He's kind of surveying, kind of figuring out, or that's what he's supposed to be doing. Half the time it looks like he's just kind of standing there, but like it's also the trust in your players. LeBron James is one of, if not the greatest basketball minds we've ever seen. If LeBron sees something that maybe you don't, it's probably in your best interest to listen, right? Same thing with D'Lo. Like D'Lo, he has the hot hand, he's torching, he's killing, right? Okay, what do you think, D'Lo? There are things that I do like about Darvin Ham. The only way I would be okay with the Lakers keeping Darvin Ham is if they got a good X's and O's, veteran, experienced head coach to be the assistant. So Darvin Ham is just kind of the face, right? But you have like the X's and O's guy that can kind of operate and do what is necessary and call the timeouts and the rotations and tell Darvin Ham like, hey, now would be a good time for a timeout, right? What was originally supposed to happen that never happened. But personally, I think that they need to fire. Like even if the Lakers win the chip, you got to get rid of Darvin Ham. I just don't believe in Darvin Ham. I don't think the players believe in Darvin Ham. The problem is if the Lakers do have success this season, do they keep him around? Right? And I'm not even talking about winning the championship. Like if they make the conference finals again, do the Lakers look at it and go, man, 2 straight years, Darvin Ham takes this team to the conference finals, right? Maybe it's not him. Maybe, especially if like, let's say you lose to Denver again, it's just like, okay, is it really Darvin Ham or is it just Denver? Again, we know it's Darvin Ham, but as an organization that doesn't want to pay 2 coaches, you could talk yourself into it like, okay, let's give Darvin another go, right? Let's put the proper pieces to maybe match up against Denver better. That's a real concern. But to me, it's just sitting there watching Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura dominate and just Darvin Ham standing there with his hands in his pockets and just clearly looking clueless, right? Again, I'm trying to, it's still YouTube, right? There's a certain way that I want to say things in this video, but I'm trying to do the PC route, right? Or the PG route. And the lack of utilization from Darvin Ham is very frustrating to me, right? Like one of the guys I've highlighted heavily this season and even last year is Rui. Rui is such a mismatch. Rui has so many advantages game in and game out. And Darvin Ham just doesn't do anything to recognize that. And again, part of that is on the players. But Darvin Ham is the one that is putting him in various positions, right? Rui Hachimura just standing in the corner all game, and yes, he's shooting 42% from three this season, but that's not his game, right? Like, sticking with Sacramento, there was like a 5-minute drought. I think it was longer than that, but I know it was like at least 5 minutes. A 5-minute drought where like the Lakers had nothing. I think they had one field goal in that stretch. But you have a guy in Rui Hachimura that has absolutely dominated the opposing team, took one field goal attempt the entire second half. That stretch, that like 5-minute stretch, would have been an excellent opportunity to run your offense through Rui. And I'm not saying you have to run every single possession, but nothing's working. You have a guy that has been just absolutely bullying the Sacramento Kings and getting whatever he wanted. And instead of going, hey, let's call Rui's number a couple times to see if he could get something going, what do? You just do nothing. That is frustrating. Spencer Dinwiddie is another great example. I know a lot of people think Spencer Dinwiddie is trash, and maybe he is to an extent. I don't know, because he hasn't done anything but stand in the corner all game, because that's the role he's playing. It's infuriating, because the whole reason we got Spencer Dinwiddie was because the Lakers had a clear issue: a playmaker and scorer off the bench. Well, guess what Spencer Dinwiddie is? A playmaker and scorer who is coming off the bench. And instead of when D'Lo and LeBron go to the bench and putting in Spencer Dinwiddie and saying, here, now you're the point guard, make plays and run the offense, you instead have him off ball the entire game and then wonder why he can't score the basketball. Because he's not a corner three-pointer. He's never been a corner spot-up three-pointer. You are utilizing him as if he's Daniel House or Joe Harris. You know what you should have done? You should have went and got Daniel House or Joe Harris if that was the case. Yet Darvin Ham keeps putting the ball in Austin Reeves' hands, which, look, again, Austin Reeves had a great game against Sacramento, but he's also been not very good at handling ball pressure as the primary playmaker. He hasn't been good as the primary playmaker, period. He turns the ball over too much. He leaves his feet. He gets tunnel vision. I could spend 20 minutes talking about why Austin Reeves shouldn't be the primary ball handler ever. And you have a guy that can be, and instead of making him that, you just sit there and watch Austin Reeves struggle for 10 minutes a game. It makes no sense to me, and it drives me insane. We need a head coach that can recognize that. It's so bizarre that, like, the way that Darvin Ham just thinks and operates. Like, it's because he was a good assistant coach, right? And I understand to an extent, right? Like, assistant coaches, you know, they're not doing all of the X's and O's, but Mike Budenholzer was really good at having his assistants kind of run the show, right? Because he always wanted to put his assistants in a position to potentially get a head coaching job, right? And in a lot of ways, Darvin Ham does operate like Mike Budenholzer, but he operates as Budenholzer, just worse. It's really weird, right? Like, Budenholzer has a lot of issues as a head coach, even though he won a championship, but still, like, the timeout thing is Mike Budenholzer, right? Like, Darvin Ham never calling timeouts, that's literally what got Budenholzer fired, right? Like, there's a lot of things that Bud has rubbed off on Darvin Ham, but there's just a lot of things that Darvin Ham I don't know if he doesn't see, or he just doesn't care, or I don't know what it is, but it's just so weird. And again, we've seen him have games and stretches and playoff series where he was good. Now, the playoffs, I think, is kind of explainable, right? In the playoffs, the first 2 rounds, everything was simplified, right? He wasn't trying to find room for 12 guys, simplified it, the rotation, but also it was very simple. You basically put the ball in LeBron and AD's hands, and everything runs inside out with them. Like, he basically did the same thing in the Indiana Pacers game for the in-season tournament championship, and you saw the Lakers win it, play inside out with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and it made Darvin Ham look competent. He looked good. But again, he just simplified things and basically leaned heavily on LeBron and AD. As soon as that stopped working, he was lost. It's like, and that was the problem with the Denver series. As soon as Anthony Davis and LeBron James being the main components, and you actually now having to figure and navigate stuff out, all of a sudden he didn't know what to do. And that was a problem. But it was something like, okay, he's first year head coach, take your lumps, fine. You move on, you deal with it. But it's just, it's like game by game he gets worse. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like this from a head coach. Like, literally. Like, there have been some bad head coaches. The Lakers have had some bad head coaches. But, man, like, the things that Darvin Ham... But the thing that's so frustrating is it's stuff that is incredibly obvious. Right? Like, it's something that even the casual of casual fans, like, my kids could watch a game and go, man, like, why are the Lakers doing this? Like, why are the Lakers doing that? Right? Like, my girl could watch a Laker game and be like, I don't understand why the head coach is doing this, right? Like, you don't have to be some great basketball mind guru, student of the sport, or anything like that, right? Like, it doesn't take rocket science. Like, you could know nothing and still recognize some of the things that Darvin Ham is doing completely wrong. Like the timeout thing. Like, they just went on, like, maybe they should call a timeout because Lakers were up 5 and now they're down 20. Like, they should have probably called a timeout. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's frustrating. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? Do you have your frustrations with Darvin Ham? Do the things that he says sometimes bother you and irritate you like it does me? Again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Lets me enjoy these types of videos. Truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.